It's Generation Next, a youth movement platform geared towards inspiring, motivating, and directing young people's participation towards responsibilities in the developing society. We are working to raise awareness on issues and challenges the youth are faced with in order to effect a positive change. Well, we always here every fortnight, and I don't need to remind you of the place. When you see the green, it means the same spot. And today, I have another remarkable young lady. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd love to give a brief bio of who she is before I can have her say hello, hi to you, my beautiful audience. Yes, I've got Miss Mbassey Manneh. She is a young lady with a proven track record of working with young people and women in the quest for social justice. She attained a postgraduate diploma in gender and development and BSc in development studies from the University of the Gambia. She is passionate rather, about human rights and equal representation of both women and men in decision-making process. She has worked and volunteers for different organizations, especially Activista, the Gambia, where she serves as a campaign coordinator. Ms. Mbassey, a 2018 Mandela Washington Fellow, now works for Civic, yes, under the Great Green Wall as the field coordinator. Well, I guess that is enough to baffle you already. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mbassey, Mrs. Mbassey Manneh. It's a pleasure to have you on Generation Next, Mbassey.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. Hi, viewers.
Okay.
Hi, wonderful viewers. Thank you, Generation Next, for inviting me here.
Yes, you're very welcome. And thank you as well for gracing this invitation. Yes, so like
Pleasure.
I said, Generation Next is a youth movement platform. And our main objective is to inspire, is to motivate the young ones to take up the future, like to take charge of their future. And of course, to be active members in the society. However, what we try to do is not to look at the current being of the person. Of course, oftentimes people are so amazed when someone is doing great and everybody want to be like you. But it's important that we try to understand how everything started. Now, as far as you can remember, Mbassey, your childhood, what can you remember?
I can remember a lot of things, yeah. But out of the lot, I can remember being this little young girl, so aggressive, so sassy kind of, if I can say. And like people will say, a go-getter. Like when I want to do something and I sit and evaluate it, I am that person that always go for it. Okay. So maybe if I want to go through my childhood experience and all that might take us long, is going to be a whole lot of story, because childhood life, yes, we all know how it is always like. But I can say I've been working hard to battle with choice and conflict of interest. Yes, I am that person that have been working on a lot on that, and I am always this outspoken person, an outgoing person, always fighting for others and in the communities. And also my mom will always say like, hey hijamur, like is bobo bosamla, you know, because I hate to see other people taking advantage of other people. That is why when I saw myself in the activism space, I'm like, okay, after all, this is the kind of person I've always been, you know. I've always been fighting for social justice, like the little things I've been doing in my community, you know, intervening for people, trying to help, you know. I am that person that can empathize, even though I have my challenges. But yeah, I am that individual.
Obviously, I'm not surprised by that. But I'm sure it must start from somewhere, because if you're the person that tend to empathize other people and you tend to fight other people's fight, what can you say? What scenario, if you may, or how did you think everything started? Because I'm guessing that it might have started somewhere. Was it when you were going to school, or something had to happen that made you become that?
it may not specifically, or it may not have to be like something special, but generally, like, I like to advocate. I like to see something that is not right and talk about it. Even up till
Right.
date, sometimes my husband will tell me there are certain things you'll have to ignore. You
That's
know,
true.
sometimes people will need certain things and you will have to render help, you know. And it is sad that this is the way we are in our communities, you know. And you may go at times, you see someone taking an advantage of a lady, you
Right.
know, especially a man, and I'll have to intervene. Like, there was a day I was in a car. So while the driver was struggling to at least climb the road, the other drivers were just blocking. And the girls inside the car were complaining too. They were like, okay, this is their habit. They don't normally excuse each other, and they
Right.
all pay road tax.
Right.
You know, as they were talking, the apprentice got fed up and was like, hey, you people need to keep quiet. And, you know, he was vulgar, foul word, you know. You know, at some point he was trying to, you know, he was so aggressive, and the driver, instead of cooling him down, joined the fight. So everybody was keeping quiet. I'm like, hey, this shouldn't be. This is not right. What did they say after all?
Right. Right.
So as they were trying to alight from the vehicle, the apprentice wanted to alight. I'm like, you know what? If you touch these ladies here, I am going to call the police. I am here. I walk right. Our office is not far from this point at Action Aid. I'm calling people. They're coming outside.
Yeah.
You know, the fight shifted to me actually. So the apprentice ended up insulting me. I'm like, fine, you can insult me as much as you can, but you don't have to beat these people.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it had to go. But at the end of the day, everyone was keeping quiet in the vehicle. The vehicle is a van.
Right.
You know, there are men in the car. There are big people in the car that could have intervened. But I know I couldn't. Definitely, I know I can't beat that man. I know I can't beat the driver as well. But I have to take that risk and also, you know, try to put things, you know, right, to say this is not right. And the
Right.
same thing, when I go to the communities, I see certain things that are not right. I'll have to advocate and intervene. And when I see community service, whether we have to clean up or do certain things,
Right.
I have to do it. Same way, just as I was in the schools.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. Well, that is so brave of you, because I can't see myself doing that. But yeah, hey ho. Now, oftentimes it is also said that who you become today, perhaps yesterday, has helped in shaping that. Now, I'm a fan of encouraging students, young students particularly, to be taking part in curriculum activities.
Yes.
Because being an activist right now, having to actually even stand in public to speak, is not something that anybody could do. Now, from your school days, because we are trying to fast track, now from your high school, if you may, how were you? What kind of a student were you?
Yeah, I used to be that, not that shy type. I will not tell you that I'm shy. Okay, I am always outspoken. Like I said, outgoing. I'll participate in debate. Even because I could remember the first time I climbed on stage was the English teacher was like, that was in junior school. Yes, primary school. I used to try speak here and there, but on stage where the whole school is present, the English teacher was like, "Have you done this before?" I'm like, "Yes." I knew I haven't done that. I took that risk and climbed that stage, and that was a debate actually. So I did it, and it worked. So from there, I started working on that, practicing, and engaging, learning from people who know better, And that's how I used to be in the debate club, or the IT club in the high school, during high school, the press club as well. We will read the news. I could remember the news was one time chaotic at the assembly, and
Yeah.
so many things happened, so many funny, and so many things happened during
So
high school days.
therefore, you would say, well, I'm curious to know how it was on that particular day when you stood right in on the assembly and have to speak.
Yeah, at some point when I climbed,
Yeah.
I was a bit nervous when I see everyone looking at me. I'm like, you know what? After all, this was my call. I'll have to go ahead and do it.
Right.
So yeah, and that debate, what I did was I took a sheet of paper
Right.
and make some bullet points. Highlight them. So it was guiding me,
Okay.
you know.
Okay.
So, but as times goes on, I don't need those ones because you don't have, if you go there, the judges will have to, they may penalize you. So yeah,
When you have that
yeah,
bullet
when you
points?
have your all, they may not necessarily penalize you, but
Okay.
what if you come with a sheet of paper,
Right.
writing your point, writing your points, or your
Right.
point written on them,
Right.
and the opponent, you know, come openly and speak,
Yeah.
you know,
It's not
fluently
easy.
and going like that,
Right.
the person may be awarded more marks than you or
Obviously.
something like that.
Obviously.
Yeah. So
Obviously.
you will want to challenge yourself
Right.
to get your point right, to do more research, you know, and go out there and speak to the people.
Okay, so therefore you're telling us that the debate that you had to encounter really helped whom you've become at this point, or
Yeah,
was there
exactly.
anything you involved yourself then apart from the debate as well that has shaped who you are now?
Yeah, because I've joined clubs, you know, I make sure I join association,
Right.
you know, wherever people are, I am there.
Right, right, obviously,
I like
obviously.
participating actually.
Right,
Even
right.
in class, that's how I used to be. Like during even primary school, I used to be the reader in class.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I could remember in grade 6, some girls used to bully me for that. In grade 6, like when it comes to spellings, I used to be very good with spellings. You know, so there's this girl that used to, after school, she will bully me like, okay, you think you know the spellings better than everybody, and when we ask you to show us, you will refuse.
Right.
And you know, it used to be very hard for me those days.
Right.
So after school, what I will do is I'll just have to find my way. But yeah, again, alhamdulillah, at least I've been able to challenge myself to do some of the things that I want to do. Even in high school, when I wanted to do arts, my father was like, no, you are not going to do arts. You are going to be in the same class with your sister doing commerce.
Okay.
Yeah, but I had to challenge. I changed without him knowing that I went to the arts field.
Right.
So when I went home one day, I told him that I was going to buy this specific book. So he realized that my books were different from that of my sisters. Like, okay, why are the books different? I'm like, I'm in the other class. So I got an insult for that, but I didn't change. I proceeded.
Right.
The same thing when I went to MDI, I went to MDI because there's something in this country. There's a problem with career guide and counseling.
Right.
In the developed world, kids are able to know what they want to become, you know, easily,
Right.
or their parents are able to figure out exactly what they will become
Right.
when they're children because of the activities they do, and some of it they groom them.
Right.
But here is a different story. You know, some you up till date, people go all the way to grade 12. They can't even tell.
Obviously.
They can't make choice.
Right.
So I was like, you know, at some point, my teachers were advising me to go into journalism.
Right.
I'm like, okay, perhaps I can do that, mass communication. Yeah. So I said, okay, let me go to MDI.
Right.
Because my problem was initially, I said, after high school, I will go somewhere and study, not the University of the Gambia. I'm not going there.
Okay.
So what happened was, because I did not pass maths,
Okay.
I didn't get my maths.
Okay.
And when I was supposed to receipt my maths also, I registered to receipt it. But at the end of the day, I didn't receipt it. My daddy did not even know that I didn't receipt my maths. So yeah, but it was registered as I receipted it and failed it.
Really?
Yes. So, but at the end of the day, eventually I have to go to the university knowing that that's what my father wants. And at the end of the day, I'll have to, you know. But when I went to going back again, MDI, and picked that brochure,
Yeah.
I saw gender and development studies. I found it very interesting. I said, okay, I'll go for this. So when I show it to my dad hold the paper like this. I'm like, okay, me, I'm going to spend my money on this. So that's how he threw the paper. You know, I have to pick it.
Right.
I don't know. He went somewhere.
Yeah.
Someone told him that course is very good. That course she wanted to do is very good.
Right.
So he decided to support me
Right.
along the line. So I did that, you know, 6 months, 9 months, another 9 months, you know, in between. In 2012, I started engaging with activists at the Gambia. Okay. So I was going with them, you know, knowing community activities here and there, learning in the process, engaging, you know.
Right.
And later, um, yeah, I became from the regional coordinator to the regional trainer ambassador, then to the campaign assistant to national campaign coordinator.
Okay.
So I was there. Later, I worked with Think Young Women. So when I started working with Think Young, our national coordinator will always tell me, "Okay, you better go to UTG."
Yeah.
So when my daddy left, he was an air traffic manager in Liberia. So when he left Liberia, he was like he called me one time and told me, "Okay, there's this private university in India. I want you to go there."
Okay.
I told him, "Okay, it's fine." So I went and consulted another person who is in India. He's from India. Is not easy there. India is not easy, but the private school they're choosing for you is okay. It's good.
Right.
You know, there's always negative story and a positive story.
True.
I told my daddy, India is not easy. I am not going to India. Instead, I'll go to Canada. Let me find school in Canada.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay. So I was searching for school until I met this agent. The university is called Winnipeg.
Okay.
So he helped in, that is a job actually.
Right.
So I enrolled in the university, got the papers, got my course registered and all that.
Right.
So my dad was like, okay, my friend enrolled her daughter in one of the universities in Canada.
Right.
But up till date, she has not been issued visa. So you may have a problem with, I don't know, I don't want you to have a problem with visa.
Right.
People are different, circumstances are different. I could have said that.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I went and engaged myself. I went and talked to one of my friends. So the friend is like, okay, you don't even need your papers. That's your school documents. Just come, I'll help you through, you apply other conferences, other means you will go.
Yeah.
I was just there. At the end of the day, I realized that I was just wasting money, trying to get visa through other means, and it is not working.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? Let me just forget about these things and just move ahead.
Right.
So as time goes on, I was working with Think Young Women for 2 years as a program officer. So I learned I was going to University of the Gambia. I said, let me just go and do this degree. So this time around, I volunteered to pay my tuition fees for myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm like, I've how to call it? I've spoiled this this old man's money enough. I've wasted his money enough.
Obviously.
So I'm like, okay, let me just go and do that. But he didn't know that I was going to university up until my third year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's it. I said, let me just go and do that. So in 2021, June 12th, I left Think Young Women for Civic.
Okay.
So Civic is an international organization with a head office based in the UK.
Okay.
So we are now implementing the Great Green World project in NBR.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So I serve as a field coordinator there.
Okay. Fantastic. Isn't that the beautiful, beautiful story? I'm almost carried away by that. But with all these experiences, what would you say you've learned?
I think I've learned a lot of things in the community, in the communities, I'll say, because I've visited all the regions in the Gambia and most of the remotest parts in the communities.
Okay.
Yes, I've been to many remote areas in the communities and I've learned a lot from people.
Okay.
So that is why sometimes it's very difficult when people see certain infrastructure and think that the country is developed. I'm like, we are not even close to it. So you tend to think like, are people not really in this country that can do the work, can change the life of people in the communities?
Right.
So when I look at the top and realize that most of the people at the helm of the affairs, our ministers, our governors, you name them, are all from these communities, and they're not doing anything. They're pretending as if everything is okay. So I think people should, I think at some point, it's like, how will I call it? People see other people's condition as maybe this is how they're supposed to be. It's like a destiny, sort of.
Right.
You were given that job to do to better these people's life, but you were not doing it. If people talk about the job that you were doing or that job that you were not doing right, at the end of the day, you see is you are like, okay, they're attacking my position. We've encountered that in 2013 We went for, we activists that normally do these journeys for hunger. We go to the communities and collect petition from smallholder farmers. They will write their demands. We'll give them flags and they will sign their demands, things that they will need. We will come with them to the National Assembly. They will face, their constituency representative. And what they will say sometimes is shocking. At a point in time, a National Assembly member stood up and was like, they don't want me to be in this position, but I will be here forever. They hate to see me. We are telling you, these are the problems of the farmers.
Right.
They have land issues.
Right. Right.
They have problem with agricultural infrastructure and resources, and you are personalizing it.
Right.
So our problems are deep rooted, And when you go to the communities, people know their problems. It's not like people don't know their problems, So the best thing I've learned in development is we don't assume people's problem. You go to them and they'll tell you there are a lot of problems.
Right.
They will prioritize their problems. They will tell you, even if you know the problem, maybe sometimes you know a little about it. But if you talk to them, you get to know more.
Sure.
That is why I respect the participatory approach to development.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, how best do you think? Because sometimes I feel that maybe young people of this country, most of us are not engaged, or most of us, I don't want to use the word perhaps depressed. Pardon me for lack of a better word. How best do you think we can engage the young people when it comes to development? Because I would like to believe that there are a whole lot of young people who perhaps maybe sitting at a corner, that perhaps we could engage them into contributing, obviously, to the development of this country. Because after all, this is why Generation Next is up. Of course, like I said, our main aim is to motivate, to inspire. Oftentimes, most of us perhaps don't have the inspiration, or you've narrated your instance where you were looking towards traveling, but of course, at the end of the day, we've seen what has happened. Maybe from your experience also, what message would you want to share, therefore, to the young people who is watching and perhaps it's all thinking about, I want to travel. It's only when I travel that I can make it.
There's always plan B, and you will travel eventually. You know what my dad told me? It's like, I don't think you understand issues. Traveling is a process. You would have gone to India, and from India, you moved to another place that you wanted to go to.
Obviously.
But then again, I traveled. I went to United States for the Mandela Washington Fellowship.
Yes,
I came back.
Yeah.
I did not sit there. I was not supposed to be. I'm fine. I can go back if I want to. I can go to any place if I want to.
Yeah.
But traveling, it's not the only, it's not the only means for survival. But again, I don't blame young people of this country, because it's the system that failed them. Our system is shaped in such a way that everyone is forced to follow some kind of paternalistic approach to development. Like, everyone is forced to look at our education system. Everyone is forced to do the maths, the English and science and social studies.
Right.
You go to the schools, the woodwork department is the dullest. The technical drawing department is the dullest.
Yeah.
And these other, technical and vocational areas,
Right.
they are the dullest.
Right.
So how will someone who is good at technical drawing, improve? How can you groom that individual? Someone who is good at woodwork, how would you be able to? You are forcing that individual to know maths by force, and the English by force.
Right.
So it means there's no space for those people. Our education system should be practical enough, to get everyone on board.
Right.
So at the end of the day, people will become job creators instead of job seekers all the time.
Right.
When China wanted to grow, they transformed their education system. If Gambia wants to grow, we should transform our education system.
Right.
Today I was watching QTV. I'm like, I saw them showing the savannah animals, and perhaps if I go to China and start watching TV, I will see them showing the architectural building,
Right.
how they are made, and young people will watch and understand how, you know, it is done.
Right.
You know,
Very true. Very
you were showing me how a lion killed zebras in the bush.
right.
That is how our books are. There was a time our biology teacher, everyone calls him termite because of that topic.
Yeah.
He dealt with the topic for, I don't know, 2 weeks. You know, when he comes at the end of the day, students decided to name him termite because we were learning termite
Right.
all along.
Right.
So we need to transform the education system and make it affordable as it is stated in the constitution of the country, section 33.
Right.
So then again, I think we need to look at our TVET areas, TVET centers that we have, and that will link me to the National Youth Council and the institutions responsible. We need to improve that as well. And you've talked about depression. There's depression in this country because people want opportunities. We've seen young people who have graduated from tertiary institutions and they can't apply themselves. They can't have the job that they want to. What are we going to do with them? And now we are having deportees in the country. Is Gambia ready for the fear of the unknown story? Are we ready for the unknown story? Like what will happen at the end of the day if these people come? You know, we are going to have a whole lot of activities happening here.
Right.
We've been engaging with returnees from back way, migrants. We are partnership, you know, we are partners with them. They tell you a whole lot of stories. In fact, they tell you most of them they can even operate guns.
Really?
You know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they know some of those things.
Oh my God.
You know, we've all seen the news how, you know, a deportee killed the father and all of those activities happening. You know, we've seen the crime rate. So youth basically, when opportunities sometimes we may say is ambiguous, sometimes you don't know where to connect it.
Right.
But again, we know our institutions are dull, if I can put it that way. Yeah, young people we need to transform our education system, improve the TVET, you know, the TVET area, and you know, try to motivate young people that are in the entrepreneurship. Because you look at the Gambia, we import a lot of things.
Right.
So we can just try to see how do we encourage, how do we promote young people that are into this business, like the carpentry, you know, before you import beds and all of you go to the offices, they are buying office furniture from, you know, importers.
Yeah.
So why can't we just prioritize or patronize the young people that are into those kind of businesses? And we look at the institute, the how to call it, the GTTIs, and see what exactly they need. Today, you want to make an automatic vehicle. You find it very difficult for someone to get an expert who can fix that. People with cars knows very well that sometimes you go to a mechanic, that is the time, in fact, your car got problems. More problems. You know. So
right, obviously.
So what are we grooming? My brother was sometimes there, and when he's like, I don't see anything that I can do in this place. You know, we need specialization, specific. That goes back to our education system again.
Right.
Even from university, people go direct from university to workspace. It's very difficult for them to apply.
Obviously.
Do they match? Do they reflect the realities on the ground?
Right.
You know.
Right. You know, I'm sure this is a very vast conversation, and I am succumb at this point for someone who is studying journalism. You know, we like the whys and hows. So I would have loved, but I'm sure we would have another session where we would have you, because it's important. So long we're able to pinpoint what we think the problems are, and of course you've been able to say where we can engage on to at least engage the youth. But we need more discussions in this regard, and therefore it means we would have you again. But as it stands now, what message would you want to share with the young ones?
Okay, I want to tell young people that there's nothing like giving up.
Right.
There's nothing like saying, because it is not provided for, I can't do it. There are people who are able to make it despite the fact that it is not provided for.
Right.
There's always a means to survival, you know. If other people can come to this country and make it, we can also do something, you know, out of what we have. When you look at this situation, sometimes when best is not available, the available becomes the best, even
Right.
if the available is not good. So we just make a little out of, you know, as you are going, you will see the light eventually at the end of the day. Let no one get discouraged. And for the youths that are coming into the country from Europe that are deported, let's try and embrace them and at least reintegrate them back to the communities. They are not failures. They are people that went for a purpose, and at the end of the day, it becomes unfortunate on their side.
Right.
So we will not have to, if depression is there, but we don't have to groom it and, you know, make things worse for them, because at the end of the day, it will not be good for us in a society. Yeah, and young people in the education field also, let them try as much as they can and make use of the available. Let everybody, especially young people, make use of the available.
Well, there we go. Thank you so much. That's really beautiful. Well, it only goes to say again, I would re-emphasize what you say. When the available is not, when the preferred is not available, I would reframe it how I understand it. When the preferred is not available, the available is preferred. Together, the world becomes a better place. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for
so much.
inviting me.
You're welcome. Thank you.